Welcome to Digital Dialogue. Today we are looking at r/malicious compliance. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up. I'm a contractor at a big bank in New York City. No benefits, but I'm paid by the hour. I like the people I work for, and while I realize I get paid well, I try to make sure they get their money's worth. On the Friday before last, start to the 3-day weekend, I was told by one of the managers, mine is out on vacation, that one of my applications was malfunctioning in production and that it absolutely needed to be fixed pronto. This application was tested to a crazy degree, so the first thing I did was call up the server admin and ask what was different between our test and production systems. After some prodding, I figure out that the production system consists of 2 clustered servers, whereas the test server is all on its own. On the theory that the data isn't transferring between the paired servers fast enough for the next web page to be rendered. It's a survey application where the answer to one question determines the next question to be asked. I suggest checking the sticky bit, which would ensure that when a person uses the application, they will stick to one server to eliminate the data transfer problem. The admin, who's a friend of mine, tells me she can't make that change without her department's manager's approval, a kind of know-it-all guy. Fine. I tell my substitute manager what I think the problem is, thinking he'll go to bat for me. And instead, he tells me to stay as long as it takes, including giving up my weekend to ensure it's working. And he tells me I'll have to work it out with the department manager for the server group. Long story, only slightly shorter. That guy proceeds to make my and his 2 employees' lives miserable all weekend. I keep suggesting the sticky bit. He keeps telling me, there's no way that's it, and suggests dumb strategy after dumb strategy. I keep telling my substitute manager what's happening. He keeps telling me to work it out, and stay as long as I need to. Finally, late on Columbus Day, my admin friend says, I'm just going to try your idea without telling him. Fixes the problem. Less than 2 minutes effort. When my manager got back from vacation last week, he called me over to his desk. He had just gotten the bill from the contracting firm. He seemed pissed. I had billed for 3 extra 8-hour days. Him. I just have one question. Where did you sleep? On the couch in the waiting room. Him. Okay. Thanks. Earlier today, my manager came over with an envelope, and when he handed it to me, he said, I'd tell you to thank substitute manager and server group manager for this, but since it came out of their budgets, maybe best not to. Don't spend it all in one place. Check was for my regular pay plus, almost $18,000. My managers sought their budgets for time and a half from the end of business of Friday to open of business on Tuesday. When I told him later that I felt bad, he said, you shouldn't, you taught them a very valuable lesson in server technology and business management that they obviously missed. Did I mention my boss used to be a programmer himself? Edit. Gee. So this is transitory, temporary, low-level Reddit quasi-fame. I figure I'd get a few comments at most. Really, I just didn't know who to tell besides my mom, and all she kept saying was, good for you, honey. Weird week all around. To wrap up my couple minutes of quasi-fame and week of self-indulgence, here's the update. My boss called me last night to say that his boss's boss would like to have lunch with me. I didn't think she knew my name, but it's not really about my long weekend. That just reminded her I exist. In any case, they've asked me to think seriously about coming on staff, and they want me to create a position for myself. They've proposed coming on staff before, but the create a job thing is new. Mostly I've resisted because the idea of managing others, and becoming one of them, makes my skin crawl. My manager said they've been talking about it for a while. News to me. So, that happened. Also, apparently the bonus was my boss's idea, but his boss and his boss's boss signed off on it because they didn't think it was fair and because it was a way of rewarding me for everything I've done. Been here 5 years. It's not the first favor they've done for me either. 2 years ago, they were told to cut consultants and they classified me as essential. I'm really not. They just seemed to like me, to keep me around until they could figure out how to keep me. So, anyway, I'm a bit more comfortable with how things went down. I wasn't really expecting advice from everyone, but it did get me thinking, and just to wrap up this horrifically self-indulgent story, I decided to start a potential future offspring investment account. My parents did a lot for me, and if I have kids one day, I'd like for them to feel lucky in this world. If I never wind up having kids, I'll gladly help someone else's kids feel a little lucky. It's not millions of dollars, but it's enough of an unexpected windfall to start saving for that off, right? Lastly, and I was planning to do this anyway, now I can do just a bit more. Once the taxes are figured out, I figure I'll give a generous but not crazy donation to hurricane relief in PRBC. It'll make me feel better about how fortunate I am generally, and BC, they're freaking Americans for God's sake. And not trying for applause or sainthood. In fact, I have given much less to charity than I could. And I'm superstitious enough to feel like after this week, I really have to avoid tempting the fates. Thanks for sharing my weird week with me. Reddit. TLDR. Was told to spend my weekend in the office arguing with an uncooperative manager. Made $18,000 courtesy of my pissed off, ex-programmer boss. Op really showed him who's ought to be the boss and made stacks in the process. Thank you for tuning in. That's the end of r/malicious compliance. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe for more.